Hello and welcome to Prescott Talks, brought to you by Prescott E-News. I'm your host, Brooks Compton, and our guest today is Lois Fruhwirth, running for the Prescott City Council. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Two questions right off the bat. Number one, did I pronounce your name correctly?
That is the challenge. It is Fruhwirth, and you did very well. Thank you.
Okay. Well, for my benefit, may I call you Lois throughout the interview?
Please do. That's how I'm running, actually.
Okay, great. That sounds good. Well, Lois, this interview is to get to know you and to get to know you as a candidate. Could you tell us a little bit about your professional experience and your background professionally?
Yes. I spent 34 years with Procter & Gamble, hired with them right out of college, traveled all around the United States and the globe, relocating 9 times for different opportunities. Of the 9 times, 5 of them family tagged along, be that my husband or my sons. 34 years in supply chain management. And then the last 15 or 20 years, I also was working with customers doing business development work. So lots of experience, called on Walmart, Kroger, other big customers, global and the United States as well. So you don't get to call on the biggest customers that Procter & Gamble has unless you know what you're doing. So, so that was a really great career. One of the things about Procter & Gamble is they're a promote from within company. And so we got a lot of great training, a lot of great development, leadership skills, all sorts of communication skills. And so I was blessed with that experience. And I think a lot of the learnings that I've had will be very transferable to the work in City Council.
So supply chain, in terms of what we would need here in the city, would be beneficial. And then you also did marketing as well with
not marketing as much as we did business development.
Business development.
So yeah, how do we build our business together with customers, and even bringing in new customers as they entered the marketplace, like Aldi did about 15 years ago or so. So both of those skills, and then also with business development, I did all of our industry affairs for supply chain. So representing Procter & Gamble at all the CEO conferences that were going on, working on building business for both all the manufacturers as well as the retailers. So learned a lot, great experience.
So you're used to being in front of the public.
I am. And so it was really easy to jump into being able to now, the last 2 months, we've been freezing out on the plaza and other sundry places around town trying to get 1,500 signatures. And it's been really fun interacting with the public. And I've appreciated the feedback that we've got.
Well, what about your personal life? Children? Family?
Absolutely, yes.
Where you born and that type of thing?
Okay. So I'm originally born and raised out on Long Island, a little town called Hauppauge, about halfway out. Basic, middle-class suburban life as a child, got super involved in school politics and that kind of stuff. And then I went on to Boston College. I studied management at the Carroll School of Management there, got my Bachelor of Science in Business, concentration with marketing and operations. Okay. And also was the student body president my junior and senior year. So super involved in going downtown, down to the State House, trying to get, at that time, back in the 70s and 80s, it was all about student financial aid. And
that must have been an enjoyable experience at that age.
It was an enjoyable experience. I got to meet a lot of congressmen on both sides of the aisle are Boston College alumni. So in my senior year, I actually opened a speech before Tip O'Neill, and I got more applause than him, and he noticed that. So that was fun. But anyhow, so serving my fellow citizens at that point, my fellow students, has also been in my blood for a long time.
And you're married and have children now?
I am married. One of my moves to California, I ended up meeting my husband, Gary. We are going to be celebrating 29 years this July. We have 2 sons. Our oldest is Kyle, is a pilot. He is based out of Columbus, Ohio. And we are going to be co-hosting the wedding. Kyle with his beautiful bride, Stephanie, will be married at the beginning of May. So I'm going to take a few days off the campaign trail for things that matter.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
For that.
We're real excited. And then our youngest son, Michael, came with us. We actually waited until he graduated high school. I was not about to move a high schooler. So we waited until he graduated and then came here. He just graduated University of Arizona in December in the business school. And he is going to be moving this week. Got a job in Cincinnati. So he's going to be moving cross country and setting up his life back in Ohio. Both my sons were born in Ohio, and at different points in their lives, they were raised in Ohio. So for them, that's home. And I guess someday I'll have grandchildren there. But I love it here. This is our home.
Well, how did you migrate, or how did you find your way, you and your husband and your family find your way to Prescott?
Well, funny story. I love to travel. And Gary had to pass my travel test in order for us to get engaged and married. So he knew it was going to be a life of traveling. And so we spent probably 20 years from the moment we got engaged, traveling all over the country and taking a look at, where could we see ourselves? Neither of us envisioned having a life in Ohio. And I'm originally from the East Coast. My husband's from the West Coast. So we started taking family vacations and traveling around, looking and looking and looking. And finally, I did all my research, and Prescott made it up on the top of my list. And we came here, and my husband wasn't ready to pull any triggers. And then we got transferred down to Fayetteville, Arkansas. And Fayetteville, Arkansas, to call on Walmart, is a very similar community to Prescott.
Okay.
About 40,000 people. 4 seasons, mild, but still all 4 seasons, good hospitals, universities and things to do within the greater area. And we're also both fly fishermen. So having the Verde River here. And so there was a bunch of things that once we lived in Arkansas, I said to my husband, we need to go back because he loved it there. And so we came back to Prescott in July of 2008 and put down a deposit on a piece of dirt, knowing even though I'm a planner, being a logistician, we knew it was going to be about 9 or 10 years until we could get here to finish off my career. But we came every year and just got more excited about our lives starting here.
So actually, you've been here in Prescott even when you weren't in Prescott, because you purchased your land, you made your decision.
We made our decision. We knew the quality of the community, the culture, the values, the size were all things that really interested us. And we loved the people. Everyone we met, every time we came to town, the arts, the restaurants, the Western heritage, the history was just so appealing. And I know that's, talking to people the last few weeks, meeting people from all over the country who also have decided to make this their home. It's that quality of life that's made the difference.
Well, speaking of culture and values and your civic commitment that you obviously had at a young age, here in Prescott, community activities or volunteerism, what type of things have you done here in Prescott since you've been here?
Absolutely. I had originally planned on not doing much and being retired, and that didn't last too long. I ended up getting involved with actually a city council campaign 4.5 years ago, and met a lot of great people through that experience. And that led me to getting involved with politics, but also going to the Prescott Citizens Academy. So I graduated the Citizens March of 20, right? We were the very last class before it stopped for a period of time. So through that Citizens Academy, I ended up getting placed on the Prescott Library Board. So I served on the library board for 2 years. Before that, I was a volunteer. I did a weekly volunteer stint at Lincoln Elementary, working with first graders every Tuesday morning for several hours. And we worked on spelling and reading and math. And absolutely loved it. Met all those needs to have grandchildren. The best of not having to help the parents with them either, but I could get them during the day. But I am. I hope. Thankfully, my daughter-in-law is also ready. So, but that's been fun because I really started to appreciate having young families here in town. It makes such a difference to the community, all of the events down on the plaza, to have families here. So even though we're a big retirement draw, I'm very interested with City Council about the work and the effort ongoing about workforce housing. How do we get families to come here and add that extra special sparkle that makes our community wonderful.
Well, many of us in the community know you as the former chairman of the Yavapai Republican Party.
Yep.
And people are curious as to why did you decide to run for that position?
Well, that's a
prompted
good
you?
story because that was not on my retirement bucket list of things to do. I had been involved, became a precinct committeeman, my very first meeting was elected captain of the precinct, and very much enjoyed 2019 and 2020, did a lot of door knocking and appreciated that. And so I started having people ask me to run for county chair, and I kept saying, don't you have someone better? Isn't there someone else who has more experience? And people just kept coming to me again and again and again, and I started thinking about it. And then frankly, if I hadn't stepped up to run, I was not going to be pleased with the alternative. So I decided, I can help. And I did.
What was your role as the chairperson? And did you have to do strategic planning or any type of planning?
Yeah, actually, we started off, again, how do you translate business skills? I had some platform ideas that I had run on, but what I immediately started doing, even before I was elected, we started 2 months earlier, we ran focus groups. So I brought in precinct committeemen who had just been brand new or had been in the county party for 15, 20 years from all parts of the county. We brought them in. We asked lots of questions. We did an organization assessment. We did business assessment, gathered input. And all of that really helped us flush out what we called Red Wave 22, which was our 2-year plan. And the whole objective of our strategic planning was to do 2 things. One was to keep Yavapai County red at that point in time. And we ended up discovering that there was an area that we hadn't really understood that we had lost having representation on, and that was school boards. So that became a big focus here in 2022. And then the other one was really how do we maximize votes for Republican candidates? And so we began doing open candidate forums where a lot of our clubs do candidate forums only for Republicans that are members. So we started doing events where we just opened it up to the entire community. We really were trying to attract independents to come and listen to our candidates and see if there was a candidate that they could get behind. So we ran multiple forums for all of the various legislative district and congressional district. We did some events on the plaza. So we really went after trying to communicate to independents, again, in the spirit of maximizing votes here in Yavapai County.
After you accomplished all that for the Republican Party, these past few years, what are you most proud of in terms of your accomplishments at that job?
Well, again, it's really important to understand what the organization or the people you're serving want from you out of a job. As county chair, I was, tasked with maximizing votes for Republicans, growing the organization. And so what I'm really proud of is we did a couple of things. One, in our first year, we doubled the size of the organization. We got into parts of Yavapai County that we had never had precinct committeemen on the ground, no representation. And that was just wonderful because the communities were like, wow, you're here and you're really nice and you're fun. And, just bringing positive energy. Everywhere we went. That led us to having even a bigger impact at the state party level because for all the elected precinct committeemen that we had, we were able to have more state party influence. And so I'm really proud of the work that we did at the state party with some resolutions. I started all the county chairs, getting them all together. So 15 county chairs getting together quarterly, talking about sharing and reapplying. What challenges are we facing? How can we help each other more? And so that really brought the county chairs they had each independently worked. And so it was nice to have a sense of camaraderie and someone you could actually, call upon for advice. The second thing that we did was we really went after fundraising. We had 2 back-to-back years of record fundraising. And so that helped us really begin in 2022 to give sizable contributions to our candidates at the LD level and above. And so the amount of money we gave in 2022 was more than 4 times the total ever given to candidates from the Yavapai County Party over 25 years.
So it sounds like your hard work led to more representation for Yavapai County in the Republican establishment in the state level.
And that's the point of the county parties, is to, in especially the rural counties, is how do we do more than our fair share of providing leadership at state level. So I feel very good about that. And then finally, you know, as you know, we went after the school board races. We really wanted to focus the school board races on what we needed here in Yavapai County, which was academic excellence. And so, you know, we worked really hard. We recruited candidates. We had candidates in all sorts of races, and over the, you know, I understand they're nonpartisan races, but in all nonpartisan races, people's values come to bear in how they do the work. And so we went after, you know, retired school teachers and others that were parents that had children in the district, and we went after trying to get all over this county a bigger impact, and we did. We achieved that.
A more informed voter is what you were seeking.
And more informed, you know, there were a lot of the clubs all over the county who were very involved in doing candidate forums, and we also went again door to door, you know, advocating, and it worked. And so I'm very excited about what's going to happen over the next few years in multiple 24 school boards all over this county. Well,
in that experience, what were some of your personal learnings, and how would you feel they would translate to the city council job?
Thank you. You know, I really had a lot of fun the first year and a half of the 2-year term. In the very last few months, I started seeing that, and there's a reason why right now a lot of families and family gatherings, dining room tables, politics is not something people want to be involved in. It's shunned because it comes to a lot of, you know, division and name calling and labeling, and those things are not fun. And who wants to deal with that? And so it's really got me thinking, because people were asking me to run again. And I started realizing that, you know, my skill set and my interests are not to continue to further this division and this divisiveness, that I really wanted to do something better for the community. That was my whole interest in getting involved from the get-go. So I think, you know, my learnings over the course of the last 6 months of the job, and the reflection of taking a month off when I finished, and being able to really sit back and look at the whole experience was, you know, I'm super excited about city council because it is a nonpartisan seat. But what I've found in the last 2 months of talking to voters is, it doesn't matter what people's politics are. The politics of the quality of life in Prescott are very similar between people. What they want, what they hope for, what they love, and that's been super
sort of leads
exciting.
Into my, I don't mean to interrupt you, into my next question is, you know, considering the drama and vitriol in politics today, what on earth would convince you to come out of retirement to run for a city council seat? I mean, it's a big step, and it's a big commitment, and it's important for people to understand your reasoning.
Yeah, I think that we're at a real pivotal time in Prescott history. We've had a lot of growth, and the voters are all commenting on that. And what people are looking for is the balance of the infrastructure. So we've outpaced in roads, in police, in fire, in water, perhaps, you know, depending on where you stand. People are looking for more balance of the city council to solve what makes a difference to them in how they move around this town and operate every single day. And my background in supply chain management will definitely help solve those situations. What we do in supply chain management is we look at all the options. We involve all the various points of view, people who are absolutely for something and absolutely against something, and you analyze all of that and involve I know you don't like the word stakeholders, but that's the word I'll use, is people
Personal preference, that's
people who
fine.
have skin in the game, about a particular issue. I want to hear from the people that love option A, and I want to hear from people that love option B. And you analyze all that, and I think I can bring those skills to bear. The other thing I believe is that things like the communications, making sure that we're out and about in the community, that people are seeing us, that they hear that we're listening. That doesn't mean politics doesn't mean you have to agree with somebody 100%. Our citizens need their leaders to hear them, to acknowledge, to respect their points of view. And I think those are experiences that the last 2 years definitely have taught me.
Well, I hear that you've been out collecting signatures, going door to door, speaking with voters, and what's on the voters' mind? What are they telling you that they're interested in?
Well, we touched on growth and infrastructure. That by far is the number one interest. And what I like about growth is it's not just rooftops. People are talking about how do we, again, with trying to keep our youth here in town, how do we grow small businesses? How do we grow medium to light businesses around the airport that people can come here and they can have a future and a life for their families? And so, again, with business development, I still have lots of contacts out there in the industry. I think those are things that I could bring to bear. That then leads to safety and services.
Okay.
So people are very concerned, how do we make sure that we have adequate police and fire services? It's been over 25 years since we built a firehouse in this community.
25 years, really?
Yes. And so I'm pleased with what's happened recently. They've given some raises in order to retain and stop the talent from leaving our community.
Okay.
And I think, again, what we end up doing with solving for workforce housing, as well as making sure that we're really marketing this community. This community loves our police, our fire.
Yes,
there's a lot
do.
of other places in Arizona that can't say that. And so while we may not be able to pay Phoenix rates, quality of life, a good job, and a community that can embrace you and your family, I think, we could actually make sure that we do staff that we need with those services. So I expect to be working on that as well.
Well, quality of life and is certainly important to everybody that's here, and development. And the next question sort of goes into both of those. When it comes to things that have plagued other larger cities when they grow quickly and grow fast, while it's a little bit out of the city council's wheelhouse, illegal immigration and how it affects the building of all these new homes and workers coming in that are not legal residents of the state or of the United States, coming in and taking those jobs from people who live here in Prescott and have moved here to earn a living. How as the city council might you address an issue like that if it came up?
Good question. Well, I'm one vote on a city council, but what I have is a car, and I'm willing to go out and meet with people, see what's going on in development, meet with developers, meet with builders, meet with the city attorney to find out what the situation is and see what we can do to solve issues. I know right now lots of businesses are having problems still with hiring the workforce they need. Mm-hmm. So, if that's the problem, I want to get to the root cause of why, in this particular instance, for example, illegal immigrants are being used, and what can we do to make sure that we're actually getting them the employees that they need that are legal.
So you're not going to sit behind a desk and tell people what to do. You're going to go out and do the job.
I'm going to go out and do the job. That's what's been so fun. The best part of the last few years has really been out there knocking on doors, meeting with people, just having fun. People are fabulous. They have so many great ideas, and so I want to hear it.
So what are the next steps in your campaign? Filing for your signatures, timelines? What's on tap for Lois?
Yeah, it's been really challenging trying to run a campaign in week after week after week. Snowstorms, rainstorms. So I feel like the post office where, we're continuing out there. I do have, the sufficient signatures that I need, not only to meet the minimum, but also to survive any fallout or challenges or whatever. So I'll be filing this week on Wednesday. And then we begin the next phase, which is, strategy. I've been listening to the voters for the last month or two, and now it's beginning to start writing our plans, our strategy, our communication and message tracks, getting our website up and running. So it'll be fun.
Well, how can people hear about your campaign? And if they so choose, which I'm sure many will, how can they get involved in your campaign?
Well, thanks for asking. We will be, hopefully in the next 3 to 4 weeks, getting our website up and running. Didn't want to spend a lot of money if I wasn't going to get the signatures I needed. So it will be Lois, Lois, for Prescott.com. And we'll have a place where you can sign up to volunteer, where you can donate. In the meantime, I'm more than willing to take emails from people at loisforprescott.com is my direct email to my desk. And, we'll be getting out and about in the community more and more over the course of the next few weeks.
Well, it certainly sounds like, it appears you're most certainly qualified for the job. And Prescott Talks and Prescott E-News wishes you the best. And here at Prescott Talks, this will be an ongoing series of candidates that we will be interviewing for the Prescott City Council, and all candidates are invited. Once again, my name is Brooks Compton, your host, and we just want to thank Lois Fruhwirth for coming in today and speaking with us. Thank you so much, Lois.
That's great.